What if everything you've ever been told about emotions was set up to keep you manageable? Think about it. Since you were young, people have been repeating the same script. Be kind. Be vulnerable. Lead with your heart. Always explain how you feel. And sure, it sounds noble. It sounds human. It sounds like the right way to live. But what has it actually produced for most people? Disappointment. Betrayal. Regret. That familiar feeling of being taken advantage of and then blaming yourself for it. So let's say the quiet part out loud, because most people are too scared to. If you want power, real power, the kind that keeps you safe and in control, you can't be ruled by emotion. You have to master it. And sometimes, that means becoming emotionally cold. Feel nothing. Control everything. Niccolo Machiavelli understood this centuries ago, and that's why people still argue about him today. In The Prince, he doesn't give you a bedtime story about goodness. He gives you a manual for surviving reality. Not the world people pretend exists, the world that actually exists. Here's the first uncomfortable truth he forces you to face. If you try to be loved more than feared, you will eventually be destroyed. Because love is fragile. Love is conditional. Love exists only as long as you keep feeding it. The moment you stop giving people what they want, your attention, your patience, your favors, your softness, love starts to change. It becomes disappointment, then resentment, then punishment. Fear doesn't do that. Fear stays. Fear doesn't need you to perform. Fear doesn't require you to be enough. Fear is stable because it's built on consequences. And no, this doesn't mean you become some raging villain, exploding at people, threatening everyone, acting unstable. That's not power. That's insecurity wearing armor. Real fear is quiet. It's the calm understanding people have when they look at you and think, I shouldn't test this person. Because they're not sure what you'll do, and they don't want to find out. A lot of people hate hearing this because they want to believe that love is strength. But love is a currency you don't control. It depends on how other people feel about you today, this week, in this moment. Fear is different. Fear is based on what you could take away. Respect, access, comfort, approval, opportunity. When people know you can remove something from their life, they act right. Not because they suddenly grew moral, but because consequences create discipline. And that's what Machiavelli cared about. Effectiveness. He wasn't interested in protecting your feelings. He was interested in protecting your position. He understood something most people refuse to learn. Emotion is a weapon. And if emotion is a weapon, then the first rule is simple. Don't let it be used against you. Let me ask you something honestly. How many times have you hesitated because you felt guilty? How many times have you let someone disrespect you and you told yourself it's not worth it? When the truth was, you didn't want to look harsh? How many times have you swallowed your anger, softened your edge, and betrayed your own instincts just to keep the peace? And what did it cost you? Respect, influence, leverage, power. Because emotion makes you predictable. When people know what triggers you, they own you. If they know you're sensitive, they can shame you. If they know you're empathetic, they can manipulate you. If they know you fear conflict, they can pressure you. If they know you hate being seen as mean, they can corner you with guilt. Machiavelli warned about this exact trap. He basically says, if you insist on acting virtuously in every situation, you're going to get crushed because the world is filled with people who don't play by those rules. In other words, if you try to be good in a world that isn't, you become prey. And that's the real choice most people avoid. Predator or prey. Ruler or subject. Operator or pawn. If you want to rule, then yes, sometimes you have to numb the heart, Not because cruelty is the goal, but because control is the goal. Machiavelli famously explains that a prince must learn how not to be good. Read that carefully. He didn't say, always be cruel. He said you must learn how not to be good, meaning you must be capable of stepping outside morality when morality would destroy you. Because goodness, when it's automatic, becomes a leash. It makes you hesitate when you should act. It makes you over-explain when you should move. It makes you forgive when you should cut ties. It makes you offer mercy to people who only see mercy as weakness. And once you become the person who always tries to do the right thing, you become easy to manage. People learn how to play you. They learn that you'll give second chances. They learn you'll feel bad. They learn you'll compromise. They learn you can be pushed. That's why the powerful operate differently. They don't react emotionally. They act strategically. Leaders act. Followers react. And what triggers reaction? Emotion, anger, panic, pride, guilt, jealousy, hope. People governed by feelings can be provoked, distracted, thrown off balance, baited into mistakes. But the one who stays cold, who doesn't emotionally flinch, controls the room. Because when everyone else is burning, your calm becomes terrifying. Now here's where a lot of people get it wrong. They hear emotionless, and they think it means becoming aggressive, becoming loud, becoming cold in a childish way, like shutting down and acting like nothing matters. That's not power. That's avoidance. Emotionless control is clean. It's decisive. It's the ability to do what needs to be done without begging your own conscience for permission. Machiavelli even gives a brutal principle about conflict. People should be either treated generously or destroyed, because if you injure them lightly, they'll recover and seek revenge. But if you crush them completely, they can't come back. Now again, don't be stupid. This isn't about being violent. This is about understanding human nature. If you keep leaving doors open for people who resent you, they don't become loyal. They become patient. They regroup. They sharpen their knives behind your back. So mercy is not kindness. Mercy is a strategy. And if your mercy creates a future threat, it wasn't mercy. It was weakness. That's what emotional people do. They mistake softness for virtue, and then they act shocked when the world punishes them. Here's another truth. Your word is only as valuable as your position. People love to say, a real man always keeps his promises. Sounds noble, but Machiavelli would laugh, because he understood something deeper. Promises are tools, and tools are used when they help you. If a promise you made yesterday destroys your leverage today, then keeping that promise is not honor, it's self-sabotage. Control isn't built on integrity. Control is built on leverage. And the final warning you need to hear in this first part is simple. Most people around you do not care about your feelings. They care about what you can offer, what you can give, what they can take. And the moment your emotions cloud your judgment, the moment you start acting out of guilt or attachment or the need to be liked, someone will exploit it. So don't give them the chance. Burn the weakness. Silence the guilt. Kill the feeling that makes you hesitate. Let others be ruled by their hearts. You will rule with your mind. And before we go further, I want you to think about this and answer honestly. Do you believe emotional control is the real key to power? Or do you still believe feeling deeply is strength? Drop your answer in the comments, because this is only the beginning. In the next part, we take the second step, something even more dangerous than becoming cold. You learn how to become the mask. In the first part, you learn the foundation, Emotional control. You learned why feeling too much makes you predictable, manipulable, and weak in a world that rewards calculation, not confession. But emotional control alone is not enough, because raw power, when exposed, invites resistance. This is where most people fail. They think that once they harden themselves internally, they should show it externally. They start acting distant, cold, unfriendly, unapproachable. And what happens? People notice. People talk. People prepare. Visible power becomes a target. Machiavelli understood this perfectly. That's why he never taught rulers to look powerful. He taught them to look harmless, virtuous, trustworthy, while remaining dangerous underneath. This is the second transformation. You don't just control your emotions, you disguise your intentions. You become the mask. Machiavelli famously said a ruler must be both a lion and a fox. The lion uses force. The fox uses deception. Most people admire the lion, but the fox survives longer because force is obvious. Deception is invisible. Power that is seen can be challenged. Power that is hidden cannot. This is why becoming the mask is essential. You don't show who you are. You perform what others need to see. You don't act with kindness. You simulate it. You don't express empathy. You display it when it benefits you. And that distinction between being and appearing is where real control begins. Most people think honesty is strength. In reality, honesty is exposure. The world is not made of truth seekers. It's made of surface readers. People don't study your intentions. They judge your appearance, your tone, your expressions, your reactions. Machiavelli was brutally clear about this. Most people are guided by appearances, not reality. And since most people are shallow observers, you must give them something easy to believe. A face they trust, a role they understand, a character that disarms them. Smile when it serves you. Laugh when it helps you blend in. Appear generous when it builds loyalty. Appear calm when others are panicking. But inside, you remain still. Cold, observing, calculating. This is how influence grows without friction. Because people don't resist what they believe is safe. They resist what looks threatening. If they see the sword in your hand, they prepare to fight. If they see an open hand, they lower their guard. The art is knowing how to carry the sword behind your back and knowing exactly when to draw it. This is why Machiavelli said it's not necessary for a ruler to actually possess all virtuous qualities. It's only necessary to appear to possess them. Real morality limits you. Fake morality gives you freedom. When you are genuinely moral, you hesitate, you debate, you second guess. But when you appear moral, you gain cover. You let others believe in your goodness while you act in your own interest without apology. This is how rulers survive. The public sees virtue. Behind closed doors, threats are removed. The crowd sees generosity. In the shadows, deals are made. And this is exactly why emotional detachment matters so much, because emotion exposes you. Emotion leaks through your face, your voice, your body language. Doubt shows. Fear shows. Attachment shows. And the moment people sense that you care too much, the illusion cracks. Once the mask cracks, respect erodes. Once respect erodes, people test you. They push boundaries. They question decisions. They challenge authority. And that's when you bleed. You cannot afford that. Control begins in stillness. Your face must not betray you. Your voice must not rise unnecessarily. Your reactions must be measured. You can be boiling inside, but outside. ice. Machiavelli understood that everyone sees what you appear to be, but very few ever experience what you really are. That difference is your weapon, because people don't resist what they admire. They resist what they openly fear, but they submit to what they trust. So, you become what they trust. You wear the mask of virtue. You let them feel safe around you. And all the while, you stay ready to strike when the moment demands it. Now here's the dangerous part, and this is where the transformation becomes irreversible. Eventually, you forget where the mask ends and where you begin. And that's not a failure, that's success. Because when the mask becomes second nature, there are no tells, no slips, no hesitation, no emotional leaks. The old version of you disappears. The one who needed approval, who worried about how others felt, who feared being misunderstood. That person is gone. Now you operate with precision. The true Machiavellian doesn't seek truth. He uses it, he bends it, he reshapes it, he sells it. Truth becomes a tool, not a moral obligation. And that's an uncomfortable idea, because most people want to believe that truth automatically leads to justice. It doesn't. Truth leads to outcomes only when it's controlled. Think about the power in this. The ability to make people believe you are righteous while you quietly reshape the world around them. That's more powerful than brute force. That's how kings rule. So stop playing fair. Let others confess. Let them explain. Let them overshare. You listen, you nod, you say just enough. And when the mask is perfect, no one even notices the blade in your hand. You become untouchable because no one knows what you're capable of. Control doesn't come from showing power. It comes from never needing to. This is the second step of domination. Master illusion. Control perception. Conceal intent. And now I want you to think about this question carefully, because it reveals how far you've come. Do you wear the mask, or does the mask wear you? Because in the next part, we go deeper. We remove the final internal chain that keeps most people obedient, the chain that even disciplined men struggle to break. Guilt. At this point, something inside you might be resisting. A quiet voice that says, "Is this right? Isn't this wrong? Won't this make me a bad person?" That voice is not your conscience. It's conditioning. And if you don't destroy it, it will destroy your power. Machiavelli understood something that most people never realize. Guilt is not morality. Guilt is control. It's a leash placed around your mind to stop you from acting in your own interest. That's why the most dangerous people in history didn't feel guilty. Not because they were monsters, but because guilt would have made them hesitate. And hesitation is fatal when power is on the line. Machiavelli was brutally clear. In the actions of men, especially rulers, the result is what matters. Not intentions, not feelings, not moral justifications. Outcomes. History doesn't remember who meant well. It remembers who won. The kind man who hesitates disappears. The decisive man becomes a king. If you are still clinging to the idea that being good will protect you, you are prey. Because people do not respect kindness. They exploit it. They do not honor fairness. They manipulate it. They do not reward compassion. They weaponize it against you. Your compassion becomes their opening. Your mercy becomes their second chance to hurt you. Your guilt becomes their leverage. Machiavelli warned that a man who insists on being good in all circumstances is guaranteed to be ruined among those who are not. So ask yourself something honestly. Why are you holding yourself to rules no one else follows? Why are you playing fair in a game designed to reward those who don't? Why do you feel bad for doing what benefits you, while others feel nothing when they take from you? Because guilt has been installed in you. Every time you hesitate before making a move that helps you, ask yourself, whose voice is this? Whose approval am I still chasing? It's never your own. It's the voice of teachers, parents, society, culture, system that benefit when you stay predictable, apologetic, and obedient. A man ruled by guilt is easy to manage. He can be paused. He can be redirected. He can be made to explain himself. But the man who feels no guilt-only strategy is unstoppable. This is how the great operators functioned. Behind every empire, every throne, every legendary rise was someone who understood that morality is flexible, but power is not. You don't succeed by being liked. You succeed by being in control. And when you're in control, people will call you cruel. Until they need you. They'll call you evil. Until they're under you. Then suddenly your coldness becomes strength. Your ruthlessness becomes leadership. That's how the narrative always flips. Fear is the foundation of this. Love is a weak currency. It depends on emotions you don't control. It fades. It turns. It betrays. Fear lasts. Fear forces respect even when people hate you. Fear keeps enemies cautious. Fear keeps allies disciplined. And if you apply the mask correctly, they won't even know they fear you. They'll just know there's something about you they shouldn't challenge. Something in your silence. Something in your stillness. Something in your eyes. A quiet understanding. This person will do what's necessary and won't feel bad about it. That's your evolution. Most people are incapable of manipulating others not because they're moral, but because they care too much. They want to be liked. They want to be seen as good. They want approval. And in that desire, they surrender control. They tell the truth when they should remain silent. They show mercy when they should end the threat. They expose emotions that should have been buried. You must do the opposite. You move like a shadow. And here's where it becomes truly uncomfortable. Guilt is not just something you remove from yourself. It's something you learn to use, because guilt is one of the strongest control mechanisms in existence. If you can make someone feel guilty, you can influence their decisions. If you can make them doubt themselves, you can steer their behavior. If you can make them apologize when they shouldn't, you own them. This is high-level influence. You never shout. You never threaten. You let them question themselves. You let them wonder if they overreacted, if they misunderstood you, if they're the problem. Once you control someone's guilt, you control their mind. That's how Machiavellian rulers defeated stronger enemies. They didn't fight fists with fists. They fought perception. If you can bend someone's reality, you never need to touch them. And the most effective lie of all is this: I'm doing what's best for you, while you do what's best for yourself. No guilt, no regret, only outcomes. That is the line between the powerful and the powerless. The powerful sleep well not because they were righteous, but because they won. Because they understand what you're learning now. Guilt is not truth. Guilt is a trick, so you reject it. You stop apologizing for being strategic. You stop hesitating to make moves that benefit you. You stop feeling bad for using truth or deception when the outcome is power. You are not here to be understood. You are here to be obeyed. This is the third transformation. Feel no guilt. Play no fair game. Win quietly. Win consistently. They cannot attack what they cannot see. They cannot destroy what they cannot define. Power does not always roar. Sometimes it whispers. Sometimes it says nothing at all. Machiavelli warned that fools announce their plans. They brag, they post, they talk. They leak their intentions and then act surprised when they're stopped. The wise man moves first. He acts before questions are asked. He strikes before resistance forms. And by the time others understand what happened, it's already over. This is what you're learning now. How to move without noise, how to strike without warning, how to disappear and leave only results behind. Talking does not prove confidence. It proves exposure. The more you say, the more you reveal. And in conflict, even a sentence can cost you everything. Machiavelli warned. Never use force when deception will work. You don't enter a room demanding respect. You enter quietly and leave as the name they remember. This is the paradox of power. Appear small. Control everything. Let them underestimate you. Let them laugh. Let them call you cold, strange, quiet. Good. That's your shield. When people don't expect anything from you, they don't prepare for you. And that gives you freedom. Freedom to observe. Freedom to plan. Freedom to strike when it matters. Machiavelli understood this deeply. Everyone sees what you appear to be. Few ever experience what you really are, and what you really are is strategy disguised as stillness. Fire behind cold eyes. A storm behind a calm surface. Loud men start conflicts. Quiet men finish them. And when you live in silence, you gain two lethal advantages. First, you observe everything. While others talk, you watch. Their weaknesses, their pride, their patterns. Second, you move without resistance. When no one knows your plan, no one can stop it. Silence is not passive. Silence is predatory. You speak in fragments. You let others fill in the blanks. You let them project their fears and assumptions. Then you use those assumptions as weapons. Remember this: a lie that's believed is stronger than a truth that must be explained. You owe no explanations. You owe results. And when people start asking, what is he planning? Why did he do that? What's really going on? Let them guess. That uncertainty is psychological warfare. That is dominance without conflict. This is how kings rise in plain sight. No drama, no speeches, no warnings, just quiet execution. In the next part, we complete the transformation. You don't just control emotion, illusion, and guilt. You become unreadable. You move in silence. You leave no trace. By now, you should feel it. That shift inside you. The moment where you stop reacting and start observing. Where emotion no longer drags you by the throat, and guilt no longer freezes your hand. But there's still one weakness left. Visibility. Because even a disciplined, emotionless, guilt-free man can be stopped if others can read him. This is where silence becomes your greatest weapon. Machiavelli was obsessed with control, not noise. He understood that the loudest men attract attention, and attention invites resistance. The man who talks too much reveals too much. The man who explains himself gives away leverage. So the next transformation is simple, but brutal. Say less. Show less. Reveal nothing. Move in silence. Most people believe that being heard is power. They think confidence is proven by talking, posting, announcing, explaining. It isn't. It's exposure. Every word you speak gives information. Every explanation reveals intention. Every emotional reaction becomes a data point for someone else to use against you. Silence removes that advantage. When you say nothing, people project. They fill the gap with their own assumptions, fears, and expectations. And those projections are almost always wrong. That confusion works for you. Machiavelli warned that a wise man does immediately what a fool does eventually. The fool announces his intentions, gathers opinions, seeks validation. By the time he moves, the resistance is already formed. The wise man moves first. No warning, no build-up, no noise. And by the time others understand what happened, the position has already shifted. That's how real power operates. Silence does not mean inaction. Silence means action without announcement. You don't broadcast ambition. You don't reveal goals. You don't explain motives. You let outcomes speak. This is why Machiavelli advised rulers to appear virtuous, generous, and calm, while operating ruthlessly behind the scenes. Public drama creates enemies. Quiet execution creates results. Victory plus silence is the cleanest form of dominance. No arguments, no debates, just consequences. When people don't know your plan, they can't block it. When they don't expect you to move, they leave openings unguarded. This is how kings rise in plain sight, while everyone else is distracted by noise. Silence also gives you time. Time to observe. Time to learn. Time to see patterns others miss. While others are talking, you're watching. Who needs validation? Who needs praise? Who fears exposure? Who is driven by ego? People reveal themselves when they speak. Their priorities, their insecurities, their weaknesses. You collect that information without ever offering your own, because silence is not emptiness. Silence is pressure. It makes people uncomfortable. They rush to fill it. They overshare. They explain. They justify. And every extra word they give you is leverage. Machiavelli understood that power is psychological before it is physical. If you can control perception, you control behavior. That's why he warned against unnecessary speech. A single sentence at the wrong moment can cost you everything. In conflict, words are liabilities. That's why the strongest move is often no response at all. No defense, no denial, no emotional reaction, just stillness. Stillness makes others doubt themselves. It forces them to ask, did I misjudge him? Does he know something I don't? Why isn't he reacting? That doubt weakens them, and weakened opponents make mistakes. Silence also protects you from ego. Ego wants recognition. Ego wants credit. Ego wants to be seen. Power doesn't need any of that. Power is satisfied with outcomes. That's why Machiavelli warned against bragging. The man who talks about what he's going to do gives others time to stop him. The man who stays quiet finishes the job before anyone can react. You don't threaten, you don't warn, you don't posture. Your silence becomes the threat. People start to sense that something about you is different. They don't know what you're thinking. They don't know what you want. They don't know where your line is. That uncertainty creates fear. Not loud fear. Quiet fear. The kind that makes people cautious around you. The kind that makes them choose their words carefully. The kind that keeps them from testing you. This is what it means to be unreadable. Your face gives nothing. Your tone gives nothing. Your body language gives nothing. You don't react emotionally even when provoked, especially when provoked, because provocation is a test. People push to see where your limits are. If you react, they learn. If you stay calm, they retreat. Loud men start fights. Quiet men end them. And when you live this way, when you move in silence, you gain another powerful advantage. You become underestimated. People assume silence means weakness. They mistake calm for passivity. They confuse stillness with submission. Let them. Underestimation is protection. When people don't see you as a threat, they lower their guard. They reveal more. They prepare less. They act carelessly. And that gives you freedom. Freedom to position yourself. Freedom to build quietly. Freedom to strike precisely. Machiavelli understood that fear works best when it's subtle. Open intimidation creates rebellion. Quiet unpredictability creates obedience. No need to threaten, no need to raise your voice. Your presence alone becomes enough. This is why silence is not emptiness. Silence is dominance without conflict. You choose what to reveal. You choose what to hide. You choose what others believe. You speak in fragments. You let them connect dots that don't exist. And when they're busy guessing, you're already moving. That's psychological warfare. That's control. That's how you leave no trace. No arguments. No enemies who know when they lost. No resistance that ever fully forms. By the time people realize they've been outmaneuvered, the game is already over. This is the fourth transformation. Be unreadable. Be unshakable. Be unseen. You've learned to silence your emotions. You've mastered the mask. You've killed guilt. You've learned to move without noise. Now there's only one step left. Not just to play the game, but to become the game itself. At this point, power is no longer something you chase. It is something you become. The final transformation is not about learning more tactics, more strategies, or more psychological tricks. It is about reaching a state where control is no longer effortful. It is natural, automatic, embedded in who you are. Machiavelli understood this better than most ever will. He knew that the highest form of dominance is not force, not intimidation, not constant action. It is presence. When you become the game itself, people adjust around you without instruction. They hesitate before crossing you. They choose their words carefully. They feel limits even when you say nothing, not because you threaten them, but because your presence reshapes the environment. This is what it means to be feared without aggression, respected without asking, obeyed without command. And it begins with mastering fear and discipline at the same time. Machiavelli warned that fear alone is unstable. Fear without discipline turns into chaos. Fear without self-control eventually consumes the one who relies on it. That is why true power is never emotional. It is precise. So understand this clearly. To feel nothing does not mean to become numb. It means to become clear. Clarity is emotional silence. It is the state where no feeling hijacks your judgment. Praise does not inflate you. Insults do not destabilize you. Loss does not panic you. Victory does not intoxicate you. You stop swinging between emotional extremes. You stop reacting. You choose. This is why emotional control is not repression. It is sovereignty. When emotion rules you, the world controls you. When emotion becomes a tool, the world loses its leverage. That is why Machiavelli warned rulers never to bind themselves to promises, sentiments, or emotional loyalties when those things weaken their position. Sentiment creates chains. Chains create predictability, and predictability is weakness. You cut the chains. Your loyalty is not to approval, not to morality as performance, not to comfort or validation. Your loyalty is to outcomes, to position, to survival. This is not cruelty. This is independence. Because the man who feels everything is owned by everything, and the man who controls feeling owns himself. Ask yourself honestly, do you still react to provocation, to disrespect, to attacks on your ego, to the loss of validation? Or have you become the man who observes, pauses, and decides? That pause is power. That pause is the line between subject and ruler. Your emotions no longer command you. They report to you. Anger becomes fuel, not explosion. Fear becomes awareness, not paralysis. Desire becomes direction, not desperation. You do not deny emotion. You dominate it. To feel nothing does not mean emptiness. It means vastness. like the ocean, calm on the surface, immense beneath, capable of storms, but never uncontrolled. That is why Machiavelli spoke of the lion and the fox. The lion represents force. The fox represents intelligence. Most men choose one. The powerful master both. You recognize traps like a fox. You strike like a lion, and then you disappear. No celebration, no explanation, no emotional aftermath. This is the final form. Untouchable, unreactive, unshakable, feared yet respected. Because true power is quiet. It does not posture, it does not threaten, it does not announce itself. It commands obedience without asking. To reach this state, you must consistently choose discipline over passion, logic over impulse, control over chaos. The world is full of people who feel too much, speak too much, reveal too much, and lose everything. They talk before thinking. They explain before acting. They react before planning. You are not one of them. You are the man who stands still while others panic, the man who listens while others speak, the man who waits while others rush. And when you move decisively. You do not chase opportunities. You position yourself so opportunities come to you. You do not seek approval. You make approval irrelevant. You do not deny pain. You use it. Pain sharpens you. Loss disciplines you. Pressure builds restraint. You are no longer a man dragged by emotion. You are the structure emotion passes through. This is where the final shift happens. You stop seeing life as something happening to you. You see it as a board you are playing on. People become variables. Events become leverage. Setbacks become positioning. You stop asking, "Is this fair?" You ask, "What does this allow me to do next?" That is the mindset of rulers. History does not remember the kindest men. It remembers the most effective ones. Not because effectiveness is moral, but because effectiveness reshapes reality. And once you understand this, guilt permanently loses its power. Because guilt only exists when you believe you owe the world an explanation for your strength. You do not. You owe the world nothing. You owe yourself mastery. At this stage, something subtle happens. People feel something around you they cannot name. You do not threaten. You do not dominate conversations. You do not seek attention, but they sense finality. They sense limits. They sense that you are not someone who can be pushed endlessly, and that alone changes behavior. You become difficult to manipulate, difficult to provoke, difficult to read. And what cannot be read cannot be controlled. This is why true power does not roar. It whispers or remains silent. You do not explain your silence. Your silence explains itself. You do not justify your decisions. Your results do that for you. You do not announce strength. People discover it the moment they test you and find nothing to grab. No guilt, no panic, no emotional leverage. Only stillness. And that stillness is dominance. Because the man who feels nothing is not empty. He is focused, he is disciplined, he is free. You are no longer reacting to the game. You are shaping it. You are not seeking approval. You are engineering outcomes. You are not waiting for permission. You are moving according to strategy. You are not here to be understood. You are here to prevail. Quietly, cleanly, decisively. You are no longer playing the game. You are the game. And the man who feels nothing controls everything.